Hi, everybody. Welcome to our cheese pairing day. I'm Eleanor, and this is Pasolivo's Cooking Kitchen Cuisine. We are going to be connecting up with cheese sommelier Chuck Kellner. Hopefully, we've got it all sorted at this point. We had a technical difficulty, but what's new? That's what keeps us on our toes. So. And you're all hopping back on, and I'm thrilled. Thank you so much. All right, let's see this time. Hopefully we'll share our space up, down. I don't even know. There's the Brady Bunch thing. Oh, look at that.
Whoa.
Technical difficulties aside, thank you so much for bearing with me.
Okay. I'm here.
We're talking to the microwave. Oh, there we are. Hi there.
Sorry about that. The microwave will be doing all the talking.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. It was a matter of time.
I should have put a smiley face on it.
Perfect. Yeah, you gotta love their background. So this is I'm thrilled. I do want to kind of talk about you for a little bit as well, but I didn't realize I had so many cheese questions until I realized that I was going to be able to talk to you, and now I'm just like chock full of them. So I'm going to try to reel it in a little bit because I know we actually have stuff to talk about. I wanted to make sure that I covered all of the cheese education that you have gone through. It is pretty amazing. So first of all, you're coming from Lincoln, California. So you're all over the place.
Correct.
Yeah.
We just moved up here about a year ago.
And you still work with wineries and places to connect up with them and help out with what cheeses pair up?
I do, and wine bars, and cheese consulting is out well.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, this area is just perfect for that. And as we see, you know, with the board that we've got, if we're following along, the board that we have is mainly Central Coast dairy. So that's kind of nice that we're being represented there. You went to school for cheese making, artisan cheese making.
Correct.
And also the San Francisco Cheese School. And also you're part of the American Cheese Society and the California Artisan Cheese Guild. I mean, it just keeps going. I'm
not done yet.
And it's still going. I mean, there's a reason that you have so many Instagram followers, and it's because of the food porn that you post. I didn't realize that when you have some dental work done, you get a cheese souffle, because I really need to talk to my roommates about that, if my roommates understand what I'm saying. I mean, all of your pictures are just fantastic. And what you do with all of these cheeses is amazing. Tell us more.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here, and I'm sorry about the technical difficulties.
We got it.
I'm really excited to get to partner with you, Pasolivo. We're going to get to try and pair some really delicious, high-quality products of yours with three great California artisan cheese makers. So it's a match made in heaven here. And we'll take care of a little bit of that it being happy hour. So I'll throw in a cocktail or two here to talk about. So I think we have you covered. And we have, once this is done, you can still lay out there and enjoy the rest of the evening with all of this.
This is amazing, and I think it's something that some people are watching and following along with right this second. I think this is going to be one that's bookmarked a lot for Thanksgiving time, so that there's something, like I said earlier, something to sit around and talk about versus politics. You know, I would much rather talk about, you know, what type of creamy cheese everybody enjoys versus red or blue. So this is right up. I mean, it's just this type of season that cheeses are something that are going to be on all our tables as people are starting to drink wine and filter into the house, or however people's Thanksgivings are going this year. So this is something I think that a lot of people are going to say, hey, this is something we can kind of play along with the family as well, which is kind of nice.
It is. Everybody can get in on it. The little kids, I mean, I've done some sessions with young kids. they're almost more fun because they don't have any hang-ups and they don't worry about getting their hands all dirty or stinky. So it's really good.
Yeah, like I say, I think cheese is everybody's love language. I think that's a universal love language. If someone comes at me with a bouquet of some sort of creamy, soft cheese, I'm, that's all I really need. So I think this is something that everybody can get behind. I had a lot of people asking me about this when I was kind of putting this out on my social media. Everybody's getting excited for it. There were questions about building this as a type of basket for gifting. So that'll be something down the line that I'm going to be asking you is how does one build a really good cheese basket gift? What should it look like? But I don't want to delve into our time too much because there's good cheese right here and I want to eat it. So
yes, that's good. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Get onto the counter. So before we get into the bites, I wanted to talk a little bit about the 3 artisanal cheesemakers, and then we can get into the bites, rather than trying to do it during a bite because everybody's going to be down and concentrating on what goes into the bite. First off, everybody relax. Okay. This is not formal. This is just have fun, enjoy it. I want everybody to just have a good time. The 3 cheese makers that we're talking about, 2 are from Paso area, and 1 is my old stomping ground. So first the Stepladder Ranch and Creamery. That's right there in Cambria. And Jack and Michelle, that one is definitely it. They also have the Chev.
Yes.
Jack and Michelle Rudolph. They're 3rd generation family owners of a farm that's been around since 1871 in that location. So I don't think a lot of people realize that about Stepladder. So it's a gorgeous area. Right now, unfortunately, they're not doing tours, but when they open up again, you definitely need to get there. They've got pasture-raised La Mancha goats. So they predominantly make goat cheeses. The La Manchas are a beautiful goat that make really delicious tasting goat cheese or goat's milk to make into the cheese. So they're a great small batch dairy. That means they don't make tons and tons and tons of this stuff. It's also very seasonal. So the Chev is kind of getting to the end of its season. They like to use the first milks of the new season, which is around March. Then when they're not using their goat's milk, they do use cow's milk from Cal Poly's Science Dairy program. So they're trying to keep everything local. The second one by you is Central Coast Creamery, and that's Reggie and Kelly Jones. Yes, that big blue. They make a whole line of cheeses that have won awards all over the place. So they have some really, really delicious cheeses. Definitely go to all their websites. But Reggie and Kelly met in high school. Kelly is a graduate of Cal Poly, so they both dreamed about coming back to the area, and they've always wanted to showcase the local dairies for that fresh flavored milk. Reggie's been in the dairy industry for almost 30 years now, and I hate him because he looks like he's about 15. He's a really great guy. Also works a lot with the Cal Poly program. They're raising 3 daughters, and one of their daughters, Avery, who's only 16 years old, has started a creamery as well called Shooting Star Creamery, and she just won best of her class for the American Cheese Society competition. So she's got some good credentials going already. So look out for Shooting Star cheeses as well. Reggie and Kelly are really, really big on that local dairy milk. It's all free of any kind of artificial hormones. So the milk is really fresh, it's really flavorful, And that's what you want to go into making a really good, flavorful cheese. That particular blue was chosen and made by Reggie and his team after talking to a lot of their customers and asking them, what cheese are you missing? What do you want? And overwhelmingly said, we wanted blue, but not so much bite. So that's how that came about. It's still got some great bite to it. So let's get into making our first bite.
Did you want to cover the cowgirl as well?
Yeah, cowgirl. We wanted to do Cowgirl Creamery. Cowgirl Creamery was started by Sue Conley and Peg Smith, both of whom worked with Chez Panisse and Betty's Diner, so high-end foodie locations. Their palates are absolutely amazing. They, too, wanted to showcase the bounty and the food and the great milks that come out of the Marin-Sonoma County area. They started Cowgirl Creamery in the late 90s, and it came about because they were trying to help the smaller farmers who were struggling to sell all of their milk. So they wanted to give them another avenue for making money off their milk. They started out with Strauss organic cow's milk. Today they're still using Strauss 20-something years later, and they're using bivalve organic dairy cow's milk as well. Both of those dairies are within a few miles of where they make these cheeses, so they are getting that milk incredibly fresh. So they continue that legacy, and they work with a lot of new cheesemakers all over the world.
I mean, I know we definitely, yes, we want to talk about them, but there isn't a soul that I know who doesn't fall in love with their cheeses. So I feel like they are very well known and well loved. That is my old stomping ground. Sonoma County is my old stomping ground too. So that's why it rings a bell. I was like, why do I feel like I have a personal attachment to them? That would make sense. I do want to say about Stepladder Creamery. I covered your Instagram and how people need to follow it because it's just great stuff to look at. But also Stepladder Creamery, for a while when they first had their babies, they kept posting pictures of baby goats, and everybody at this point in the situation of life needs baby goat pictures. So if you need to pick me up, follow Stepladder Creamery on Instagram, because their pictures are all gorgeous of their property and their area, but they also post pictures of baby goats. And I mean, what more do you need? She's a baby goat.
Goat yoga. They do goat yoga when they're back open again.
It's the cutest thing ever.
Not.
All right. Well, yes. With that being said, let's get into the bite. Okay. And you said everybody relax. This is not fancy, but I will come at you with the first thing that scares me about the cheese situation. There's so many options, and I always feel like a jerk because I'm pretty sure I don't pair the right knife with the right cheese. Can you help us out? I'm going to say us. I'm hoping somebody else has the same problem.
Nope. I have no idea. No.
No.
they're all made for specific reasons, and you can use the bigger, wider one that you had. That one there is for making chunks. So
we're going to be using it with this?
I'll show you a little bit later. We're going to use that kind of knife to break up the blue cheese.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
right?
Check.
It technically was originally designed to break up Parmesan.
Oh, okay. All right.
So those bigger, drier, kind of chunky things.
Okay, I'm feeling fancier already.
You know what? Half the times I use a regular kitchen knife, so you don't have to get that fancy. But
oh man. Okay.
So why don't we get into our first one? We'll use some of those tools as well, and we can talk about that. And we can also talk about a little bit at the end. So the first bite we're going to make is the chimichurri lemon oil cured chef. So Pasolivo lemon olive oil, the chimichurri blend, and the Stepladder chef. Chèvre is just the French name for goat cheese. So Eleanor, you want to talk about the oil and the chimichurri?
Yes. Okay. So the lemon olive oil is it's Meyer lemon. So right off the bat, it's everybody's favorite lemon. And it is one that goes sweet to savory so beautifully. It works with ice cream just as much and baking as much as it does on asparagus and with salmon and I mean linguine. So it works across the board. I am thrilled to see it in with dairy as well because I love the flavors pairing up, but it always kind of scares me to have the acid of a citrus with a cheese. So it makes sense when it's with an olive oil that the two would pair up really beautifully.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can also do acid with cheese because cheese has a lot of acid in it.
Huh. Okay.
So it's going to work that way as well. Where you'll see we're using the balsamic a little bit later, right? So those things are fine. It's just putting it with the right kind of cheese.
Right. That's where you come in.
Right. So I don't know if you're going to go along with me or what, but
I'm going to try.
In this, so I said about 3 to 4 ounces. Part of that is going to depend on the size of the mason jar that you're using or whatever jar you're using. In this case, I have a small one, so we get to enjoy it, and it's plenty big. The bigger the jar, the more oil and herbs you're going to need, and the more cheese you're going to need. This particular container is a 6-ounce container, so I'm going to take about half of that. One of the things that I don't particularly like is taking this big hunk and just dumping it in there. Because the oils don't get a chance and herbs don't get a chance to kind of get into the nooks and crannies. So I usually take a spoon and take a couple, about 3 good-sized chunks. Just put it right into that mason jar.
Is everybody following at home? I hope you are. Either that or you're just watching us concentrate. I'm concentrating way too hard on this right now.
So I kind of don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of in big lumps in the jar.
Got it. Yes. Okay.
There you go.
I'm with you.
Now, this particular jar will take about a half a cup of oil. The big key to this, again, depending on what size jar, is the oil needs to cover the cheese. Right? I've got 1 big heaping teaspoon of the chimichurri blend. And that's going to go right into the oil. And I like to take and whisk that together because if you put the oil into the jar and then you sprinkle the herbs on top, they're going to just sit and float for a while. So you've got to leave it, you need to leave it a lot longer for it to start to permeate into the cheese. But if you kind of whisk that together a little bit, it's starting to already infuse into the oils.
This looks fantastic, by the way.
And it smells incredibly.
It does. It really does. I would have not thought to put the lemon and the chimichurri together, and it's gorgeous together. It just really brings out great flavors.
So that brings up the idea that you can also use your spring blend in here. That would work fine. So don't have to go crazy, but a decent mix to get that all mixed together.
This is my workspace right now, so I just want to show everybody. Okay, so this is what's going on with mine, and try not to dump it. So this is what mine's looking like. It's going to go into my mason jar in a bit, but I just want to make sure everybody's seeing what I've got going on here.
That's why I use clear glass.
Yes, yeah. You know, note for next time.
All right.
Thanks,
so
Chuck.
This is just going to go right over that cheese mixture. and I'll use my fingers to get those herbs that are sitting on the bottom. Now, for best results, I would put this in the refrigerator overnight because it gives that even more time to sort of all meld together and permeate the cheese a little bit and get into those nooks and crannies we were talking about. If you do that, take it out of the refrigerator at least an hour or a little bit more before you want to use it the next day. If you go in, you're going to freak out because it's going to solidify.
Right.
It really doesn't look great. But if you let it sit on the counter for about an hour, a little over an hour, it's going to be back to its normal, beauty. So the smells that are coming from this are just outrageously amazing. I love this dish. It's also, you were talking about gift. It's a great gift. You put a little flower, herb, whatever works for you. All right? With it. And obviously you'd put the top of the lid on the jar too.
Always a nice added bonus. So for that, what is the serving suggestion for that when you do? Because everybody's doing a really good job of not eating it from their container right now. Kudos everybody at home.
Yeah.
We're not just scooping it back out and putting it into your mouth, because that's kind of what I want to do. Trying to stay classy today. So you put it in the fridge. You pull it out the day of for serving. How are we serving this?
So, couple things, depending on what you really want to do. You can do a nice big chunk of crunchy bread, crusty bread.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a crostini.
Oh, nice.
If you're going to do a crostini, don't oil it up. Just put it in the toaster oven, brown it just a touch, nothing else on it. Because you don't want to take away from the great herbs and flavors of that chev coming through. So the more things you put on that vehicle, the more you're going to take away from that actual bite. So just nice big spoonful. And I like to take a little bit of the oil and drizzle it onto the whole thing. And so you get, those herbs, you get the oils, you get the cheese. And chev is great because it's got, this sort of lemony, bright, what I call a spring bite in your mouth. So it's really, really flavorful. It's a great cheese because you can go in many directions. You can make it savory. You can make it more sweet. You can make it a breakfast item. It's a great, great product. So there is.
Oh, look at that. That's gorgeous.
Bite.
That's beautiful. And I love the idea of doing this as a gift. So, I mean, I think a lot of people right now are, so a lot of people are out of work. A lot of people are stuck at home. And you also mentioned kids. This is a fun thing to do with the kids. I tried to use 2 spoons to kind of scoop it off the spoon, but yeah, fingers and getting in there, and it looks like a little aquarium kind of. So I think the kids would really enjoy this sort of stuff too. So it's a great gift.
Make sure their hands are washed before you get started.
Yeah, yes. Make sure they're all the way up to their elbows.
You don't want to introduce other flavors.
Right. Exactly. Too many wheels on the vehicle.
Exactly. Our next one, we'll move it along. The next one is, whoops, I'm going to get this out of the way. Our next one is going to be the Smoky Spicy Curds and Cream. So that one is going to be using your smoky spice and the Cowgirl Curds and Cream. And your favorite bag of potato chips. So if you want to talk a little bit about the smoky spice.
Yeah, so the smoky spice is one that I use a ton. If you come to the tasting room, I've probably tried to force feed this to you because it does have that nice sweet smokiness. It works as a rub on ribs. It works as a seasoning on kale chips. It works in ground beef or ground turkey for tacos. I mean, it in a salad dressing for a taco salad. So it works in so many ways. Yeah, okay. So also disclaimer for Instagram and Instagram Live, everything is backwards. So I'm showing you all these beautiful labels, like say the cheese we're going to be using, and it's all backwards. And it's not that it's a conspiracy and we all decided to mess with your head.
Right.
Only one group did, and that was Instagram. They decided to mess with your head and make it backwards. So apologies for that. I will promise you that what I'm holding up right now is the Smoky Spice Blend. If you are looking for it on our website, look under Smoky. And it is definitely one. It comes in bags or jar form, just like all of our seasonings, all of our salts. And it's one that is just, we go camping a lot. This is in our trailer because it just runs the gambit. You can put it in beans, you can put it with meats, you can put it with veggies, and apparently you can put it with cheese and chips, which now elevates it even further.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like this one because it's a great snack because these curds have high protein. There's 16 grams of protein.
Wow.
So this is a snack that will hang with you when you have that hangry kind of feel going in the afternoon.
Yep.
It's gonna last, and it's gonna tide you over to your good meal. Not that this is not a good meal, this is a great meal, but it's not a whole meal. But that's what's wonderful about this. So I'm gonna get started on it.
I love that this container is one serving size too. So they're considering, take this, if you are heading into the office, if you are heading into a workspace, this is something that you can just bring with you. And yeah, that protein is fantastic. So yeah, if anybody's been following along, you guys know that I've done all that counting and all that sort of stuff. And it is tough unless you're sitting there just chewing on chicken breast all day.
Right.
Been there, didn't like it. This is a great way of doing it.
And if you're that worried about it, you can always put it on like an apple, pear. So it's going to work on any kind of fruit as well, and even dried fruit like a apricot.
Ooh.
Or even like persimmons are really good right now.
Yes.
You don't get even a dried persimmons. Either fresh or dried persimmon is going to be great with that. So I think you can go that route as well if you're nervous about the potato chip side. But so I'm going to take a teaspoon of the spice mix, the smoky spice mix, and just put it on top of the curds and cream. So I've got a bowl with that. Now, I like to do just a gentle kind of mix. I don't want to break this curds up and make a mess out of it. So I just kind of do a quick mix. And while I'm doing that, I'll tell you a little bit about the curds. The curds Curds are basically the little chunks that are starting to form when the milk is coagulating. So you've heard curds and whey. Whey is the liquid part of it.
Okay.
And these curds are hand cut. So everything it's pretty laborious kind of project, but it's a labor of love. After the curds are cut and in a container, they then cover them and dress them with creme fraiche. Again, an organic Cowgirl Creamery's creme fraiche, which is basically a cultured cream. And then they also add a little bit of organic milk.
Got it.
You get this really pillowy curd with this tangy, bright kind of characteristic to it.
They call it a clabbered cottage cheese. What does clabbered mean?
Clabbered is an old English term that is just basically a cooked and washed curd.
Okay, got it.
So that's sort of how we have it. All right. Now, depending how smoky you want it, you can add more. These are all just sort of guidelines. All of it is your taste. So if you like it a little smokier, put a little more of it. The other thing is if you also put this in the refrigerator and let it marinate overnight, the next day it will also be a lot more smoky than it is as right off the bat. So it really depends on what you want to do.
Makes sense, yeah.
So, real simple. I tend to like kettle because they're a little crunchy and sometimes a little gnarly and bent over, and that's great. So, take a little spoonful, put that on your chip. I'll make a couple of them because the studio audience here will want.
I think that's fair payment. That works. I think a lot of people would work for that.
So now, if you're doing it as a party, you could leave it just in the bowl with chips all around the bowl. I like this one. This one's a big gnarly one.
I love the fact that all of these flavors are so different too. So if you were to prepare these for Thanksgiving, for family, you are probably checking everybody off the list with everybody's palates and everybody's, interests. Somebody might want that smoky kind of easy to chomp on and snack on chip, whereas somebody might want to do the spreading of the cheeses and stuff. So I really like that you're covering all bases.
And what I like to do is, and that again goes into what you're just saying, I take a little pinch or a big size pinch, and then I sprinkle that across over the top of each of the ones I've made. You could, if again you're serving it in the bowl, you could just leave the little piece next to it.
And that's just a side of the smoky spice in case anybody wants to.
Smoky spice.
Yeah, I love that.
Pinch, or if you're doing it at a party, you want to have a little spoon. Because I'll want to lick my fingers after each one.
Right, exactly.
And then for just visual, I like to then take a green onion and just kind of put a couple slivers on. And one, it's visual, but two, it kind of reminds me of that French onion dip we had as kids, okay? So that combo still kind of invokes that for me.
I love that. It's, again, this is speaking to all different palates, all different levels of cheese education, and yeah, someone's going to be drinking a beer. This is right up their alley.
A good frothy beer.
Yes, yeah. This is perfect.
If you're doing the bowl, what you can do is take the green onion and either cut it into rounds, or you can do longer sort of strips. I don't know if you can see that, but it's
Oh yeah, beautiful.
okay.
Yep.
Or, and oh, there's your, whoops, too far down.
There
There's
they
your bite.
are. Oh, beautiful. I love it. Everybody's loving this. There's lots of hearts flying everywhere.
And you can decorate up the plate whatever way you want. I use some old maple leaves and some greenery and whatever, again, whatever's around the house, some rosemary, all of that. Same thing with this. You could put this same thing into a jar and give that as a gift as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It holds up pretty well. It is a fresh cheese. Fresh cheeses tend to be week to 10 days, so you don't want to make it too far in advance. But the cottage cheese is great. This would be great with a side of like rancho, what is it, the eggs, the Mexican eggs.
Oh, yes.
Gosh.
They're my favorite. Yeah. Okay, we all know what we're talking about.
Chili Chili's, I can't, there's another name too.
Yeah, huevos rancheros, right?
Yeah,
Huevos rancheros.
That's it.
Yes, there we
So
go.
that would be a great
somewhere.
side to that dish.
By the way, just a forewarning, it sounds like people are inviting themselves over to your house. So everybody's saying this is looking delicious. They're coming over to your house. I don't know how many people have your address, but either lock the doors or start making more. Just side note.
I'm happy to make more. Just before we came on, I got a text that said my wine and my cheese was being delivered. So if the doorbell rings, I'll have somebody from the studio audience go get it.
Fantastic. As long as you're sharing.
Yeah, right. So moving right along, because I know I kind of got problems start off with technology, so we're doing good. The next one, to me, is a major dessert. Okay, this is a rustic blue cheese honey bite. So we're going to use a bunch of your items as well. Let me clear this out of the way, and I'll get some of that. So you can probably talk about the
Honey.
honey.
Yeah, we covered a little bit of the honey at the beginning, but this is one that has been used, and as we've been doing this, you guys have been following along, so you know that this has been in cocktails as a simple syrup. So mixed with some warm water and then cooled and used as a simple syrup, as a more organic and raw and natural simple syrup in everything from margaritas to an old fashioned. So yes, you can use this in cocktails. Also use it in tea, in oatmeal, and on Greek yogurt, everything that you traditionally use honey for, on toast, on crumpets. But also, I've always said that I like it on a dry cheese like a manchego, a Parmesan, something like that. I love the idea of combining it, this sweetness. It's got such a mature level of sweetness and flavor to it. It's very complex in comparison to, and I apologize before, but anything that comes in the bear, and I love the bear, it's very adorable, but you know, everything has its place. This has just got a whole new level of flavor in comparison. So I like the idea of it working with something that's just as bold.
Yeah.
And
it's a good way for somebody that doesn't like blue cheese, and I trust me, working the counter at Cowgirl, it's 50-50. There's 50% that really hate, or they say they hate blue cheese, and 50 that adore it. And it's always split like that. But by doing the honey on it, that helps to soften that bite a bit, and it really is a good way to sort of that gateway to that bigger blue.
We've got a lot of people, first of all, inviting themselves over still to your house, and then also agreeing that, yeah, this is a fantastic honey for cheeses. So how do we pair this up? How do we get these two together?
All right, so it's actually pretty straightforward, so it's pretty easy. I don't know if you have your blue cheese out.
I mean, it's here. It has not been hacked into.
Perfect.
Because you did not tell me to. I'm following directions once in my life.
All right. So you've got your nice chunk of blue cheese, and there's a couple ways you can cut it. You can either cut it across and make wedges, but as you get closer to the rind, you'll see there's less bluing. So the other better way is to take and turn so you have that sort of triangle shape.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
And then you can take your knife and just cut just like that.
See, you said
So
you didn't believe in fancy knives, and look at that knife. That knife looks like Swiss cheese.
This one is more towards any soft, creamy cheese. Because of the holes, it won't drag and pull all that cheese out. So if you're doing if you're doing a soft cheese with a regular sort of kitchen knife,
that's stuck.
It always gets all gooey and gummy. Yep. Right.
Yep.
So you're going to want a cheese knife that has holes in it.
Huh.
And if you go to any cheese shop, they have these little guys that they sell because it's going to have their name on it. Okay. But they're great for that same kind of thing.
I thought they were just
the point on the end to jab it and pick it up.
Oh. Okay, so I thought the holes were just because it was cute and looked like Swiss cheese. I didn't realize they were actually productive holes. So this is, again, educating. Hopefully other people on top of just me, but definitely educating me today.
Well, and so if you're doing a basket, this is the kind of thing you could throw in,
yes,
or any of those knives. You know, I've got a little knife set that I got very early on. There's the other one. So if you want to spend a little bit more money, put a set like this in with your cheese basket.
Perfect. That's a good idea.
Not that I'm selling knife sets.
I've got my slightly hacked.
I've cut 2 wedges already. One, and here's where it gets to everybody's preference. And if you look at other Instagram accounts, a lot of people will take a piece of blue cheese and put it on as one piece. All right? Okay. And it, from a picture perspective, it looks really, really pretty once you put all your other things on. And I'll show you that as is. But for me, I like to crumble that blue cheese a little bit because I want your delicious orange blossom honey to kind of get into all those nooks and crannies that are on there. And if you crumble it and pile it on, you've got a little bit of height. So visually, it looks prettier on a plate to maybe even mix it up because it gives you variety. That's what you want on your cheese boards or your cheese plates, is some variety in texture. So it's all textural. Same thing with the crackers or the breads or the accompaniments. They all want to add to that sort of texture of the plate. So I'm going to take one of those wedges. Can you see that on the board?
Yes.
So I'm going to go back to that pointy one you had that you used to cut the blue cheese.
I can't.
There you go. So if you take that sort of pointy one, just take and put the point in and twist.
Oh, look at that. Huh.
Okay. It's that simple. And this is what's great. You can do this on a harder cheese like a Comte or a Gruyere, on Parmesan. Perfect.
Yes, it breaks up beautifully.
Mix it up, yeah. And you don't want it too small. You want, some good variety on there. And now I'm using the Rustic Bakery Artisan Crisp. And this particular one is the tart cherry and nuts and cocoa nibs. And that's why I say this is dessert. So all those flavors, they're going great with this blue cheese. So just take that blue cheese, and I like to use the whole cracker because you're going to drizzle, but keep your blue cheese chunks towards the center. And the reason for that is if you're having a party and you've drizzled that honey all over it, every time somebody goes to pick it up, their fingers are sticky, which means now the paper napkin sticks to it, and then it's all over. So this gives them something to be able to pick up without being covered with the honey. So you put your chunks in the center, and you can leave some on the board for licking later. And then I am going to wipe my hands, and I'm going to take and drizzle the honey. But actually, before I do that, I'm adding more dessert because I'm going to add a Luxardo cherry or Amareno cherry.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So, again, depending on how big a bite you make, you may want to cut the cherries in half. Or you can leave them whole, whichever you're happy with. Stay on there.
This sounds decadent and gorgeous.
Well, that's why I said it's dessert.
Really complex, too. A lot of good flavors going in together.
There's there's an incredible amount of flavors going into them. Now, we're going to take the honey, and I'm just going to drizzle it right over all of that beautiful connection. And I really want to lick the spoon. But I won't.
You can pretend to drop something and go behind the counter real quick if you need to.
There you go. I love this honey. I have used it on classes where I've done ricotta and sparkling wine. And if you take the honey and put it towards the backside and you taste the fresh ricotta with the sparkling, and then taste the fresh ricotta with a little bit of that honey on it, and the sparkling really makes your sparkling pop.
Wow. Oh, gosh, that sounds amazing.
So there is our bites.
Oh, there's our dessert. Nobody's going to be eating the turkey. The turkey's going to have to wait for another day.
And since this is happy hour, I have a old-fashioned with the Luxardo cherries, and wait, a drizzle of the honey.
Ooh. Amazing.
So I'm ending the session now because I'm heading off to my old-fashioned. So this honey has just so many different ways to go. So
amazing.
I hope you enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I think everybody can agree that one that sounds about right for this Friday.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we all need an old-fashioned.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that delicious old-fashioned. Or Manhattan, and everybody, whatever their preferences are. So the last one,
yes.
we have time. I know we were kind of delayed, so I don't know what
I definitely want to make sure that we get it in. So I'll try
Okay.
I'll try to keep my comments to a minimum.
So the last one is going to be the spring herbs and truffle triple cream. So if you want to talk about all the delicious, let me get these items out of here.
So we've got
We have the Blackberry Balsamic.
Yep.
Saving that for later. We have the spring
Yep.
mix.
Spring blend.
And then we have the truffle sea salt.
Oh my gosh. So as if you've been to the tasting room, you know I talk your ear off about the vinegars and the balsamics that we have. Made in Atascadero, a couple has a 2-acre organic farm, grow what they can there, source what they can't from around the area. And it is gorgeous. It works on vanilla ice cream. It works on salads. It works as a marinade. It is beautiful. And it also does, if you've been following along with us and our happy hour cocktail hours, this has been in some cocktails. I personally have started really loving this with some lemon juice and some rye shaken up, and it is gorgeous. It has that sweetness. They say it's the spirit, the sweet, and the tart, right? The acid that goes together. That's what we learned on Yes with the Yes Cocktail Company. So this is just a beautiful addition for a lot of different things. Once you have this in your house, you'll realize you'll be pulling it for quite a few different things. The truffle salt, I put it on pretty much everything. It is amazing. It knows no bounds. I just don't put it on my cereal in the morning, but everything else, popcorn, eggs, pastas, salads, it's there. The spring blend is a dill focus. So this in sour cream or Greek yogurt is a perfect veggie dip, but it works really well with salmon because of the dill, and is very user friendly. So I'm glad that you brought that one together as well.
Yeah, it's a great. I love balsamic because also if I make a leg of lamb, I always put the blackberry or fig kind of in there. So it's a great versatile vinegar. So we're going to use Stepladder. In this case, we're using Stepladder's Big Sur. The Big Sur is, again, small format, and it is a mix of cow and goat. So you get the best of both worlds. So you get that great, bright tanginess of a goat, and you get that sort of sweet cream of the cow. So it softens the goat for those people that are not big goat people. It softens the goat to a really, really beautiful flavor. Great size format. And it's what they call ash ripened. So there's a little bit of ash on there as well. That helps what they call with the pH. So cheese wants to have a proper pH and acidity. Otherwise, that's when things dry out or they get too sour or too funky. So ash helps to do that. Ash came about many generations ago when the farmers were out in the field milking their animals, and they'd milk them twice a day. They would put the milk in the vat, and they needed a way to protect that milk from the other animals or bugs, so they took ash from the fire and sprinkled it on top. And then in the morning, they dumped the next vat of milk. So now, today, we use vegetable ash, clean vegetable ash to do it, but that's how this came about. Many of the things with cheese came about as a preservative. So we're going to take this. We are going to take our knife with the holes.
So, oh yes, the Swiss cheese knife. That's not just for Swiss cheese.
There you go.
There's a question. Is all of this edible?
Yep.
It's all edible. It's not like a
This is what
crust.
they call bloomy rind, and if you look at it real close, it looks kind of snowy and billowy, and
Yeah.
so yes, it is all edible. That's why when you're at a party, you don't eat the middle of that brie out from underneath the rind, because the rind is part of that flavor. When the cheesemaker is making that cheese, they're thinking of the flavor that that entire bite gives you. So that's a no-no. Do not dig out the middle of that brie.
Okay, I will tell my friend that okay, it's me. I do that. Okay, now I know. Apologies, everybody. All the parties I've been to.
So you're going to take the wheel and turn it on its side. There you go. And now we're going to cut it in half. And you can use that tool, or here's an even fancier tool.
Whoa.
It's a wire. It's a cheese wire, which is probably the best thing to use because nothing sticks to it.
I'm not gonna lie, Chuck. I don't think anybody has that in their house.
No,
I would.
not. But if you want to get this out of the refrigerator and let it sit for several hours, so it's soft and it'll cut through a lot easier. So now you have your two halves. All right, perfect. So we are going to take about a quarter teaspoon of the spring herb mix. And again, just like all the others, if you want it a little more herby, a little bit more flavorful, more is good. I was just trying to give you some basic guidelines. And now just take that and sprinkle it across the side of one of the halves.
I love the way it smells. It's gorgeous.
I have to say, the flavors and smells that come out of your products are just phenomenal. They smell even better than just fresh herbs out of the garden. It's amazing. They just really pop. So that's why it's really easy to put it with cheese. Now, the next thing we're going to do is the truffle salt. And the same thing. This one, I think I have 1/8 of a teaspoon. But again, if you like that stronger, earthy kind of flavor, the thing is you have to be a little bit careful because you don't want it too salty. Because the salt flavor itself will overpower the herbs. So you want to have a fairly decent balance of that. So then on the same side, just go ahead and sprinkle that on top of.
And that's just a disclaimer also for all of our salts out there for everybody, because I hear the, wow, this is salty salt quite often, more often than you'd expect. And yeah, we only have sea salts, so they are not going through machines. They're not getting, iodized or anything. This is pure sea salt. So yes, for lack of a better term, it is salty salt. So definitely err on the side of too little and then go big versus the other way around, because you can't go the other way around.
I mean, especially with the truffle salt, you can always salt your bite. Again, put a little bowl next to it and salt your bite with it after. So you've got 1/2 that's all done. Now we're just going to put 1/2 on top of the other. And now, again, ideally, you want to put this in the refrigerator overnight because, again, you want those flavors to kind of permeate the cheese. So triple cream has a lot of creaminess to it and a lot of, it coats your tongue. So you want this brightness to really pop. You want those fresh spring herbs to really make this pop. You want that earthiness of the truffle to pop. So put that, And I just wrap it right back up in the paper that it came in. Put it in the refrigerator overnight. All right. And through the magic of TV, the next day, again, you make sure that you get it out at least an hour before you want to eat. All right. Unwrap your cheese. And then you can cut it in half. And now you've got this.
Oh, cool.
It's this great herby, earthy flavor going on, and you got that hint of that sweet cream. So it's a really beautiful bite. But we're going to make it pop a little bit more. So I take the Blackberry Balsamic, and I would say an eighth to a quarter teaspoon. Again, if you're just making it for a bite, not even the whole wheel, an eighth to a quarter teaspoon is good. If you want to make enough that you're going to leave it out at a party, for instance, if you're doing a party, I wouldn't necessarily drizzle it on, because over time, if it's not eaten quickly, it's going to be more on the puddle on the plate than it is on the cheese. So you could put it in a little bowl next to it with a spoon. I'm going to make a bite. And what I would do is I would take the balsamic, and you can do a couple things, because the balsamic as it is fairly thin for coating something. So you can either put it in a saucepan and reduce it a little bit. You can add any kind of dark berry, like a blueberry or blackberry jam, and just put the two together and sort of mix it around. Now you've got a little more thickness to it, but you still have that bright blackberry balsamic, sort of tang to it.
I love that idea.
So the jam is just helping to thicken it. It's not really going to, change the flavors too much. And then I just drizzle it right over the bite.
Oh, it's beautiful too. It looks like a wedding cake.
Yeah, and what I like about it is that the blackberry balsamic is going to keep that same sort of truffle earthiness, because the blackberries have that kind of earthy, but it's now lending a bit of sweetness. So it kind of elevates your simple bite even more.
I love that. And yes, the balsamic, someone was asking which balsamic it was. We have quite a few. It's the blackberry balsamic. So
this blackberry, right?
Yeah, so it's.
I like that because, again, the blackberry and the truffles are a match made in heaven. They both have that earthy kind of quality to them.
I would have never thought. I mean, you explain it and it makes sense, but there's no way I would have ever put that together. So that's why they pay you the big bucks, Chuck, because you have all of this great education and you're teaching us laymen, which I really appreciate. Thank you.
Having a great time doing it.
This has been fantastic. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm ready to wow people at Thanksgiving. We've always kind of done the same old, so this is something brand new and exciting, and we'll get the conversation flowing. So I am thrilled about this. I love the idea of people doing kind of a tutorial and following this along during Thanksgiving or right before. So definitely bookmark this, guys, because this is something that you can do over and over again. If you've got a party going on, you can do one or you can do all of them. That's the beauty that And that's why Chuck did it this way, is because each one is so different and unique. Gosh, look how beautiful they are. Oh,
So
wow.
again, gift wise, don't put you could make the jam, put the balsamic jam mix, put that in a little container, put the cheese, make that whole thing, wrap it up in a nice little burlap bag with a nice tie on it and a flower. And so you've got another great gift idea that's pretty simple. If you go to the thing about what's going on now with COVID is a lot of the smaller cheesemakers are able to sell cheeses online. Before, they had to go through distributors and out to bigger facilities. So a lot of them are doing it online. So please, please support those smaller local cheesemakers.
Yes, please take advantage of that. Like Chuck said, we aren't able to go and tour some of these places. People aren't getting out, and the tourism in general is kind of low. So if we are able to hop on their websites, follow them on Instagram, see what they're all about, that is something that is a gift not only to the person you're gifting, but also to them, to get their name out there. So this is another reason why we're doing this, is to make sure that we are Paso strong and just supporting the small business everywhere. It's a big thing for all of us, because this is where the quality is. It is not in the big brand stores that have been remaining open. It is in these smaller stores that are kind of falling apart under the pressure of COVID. So this sort of thing is exactly what we need to be doing.
That's
because
one of the reasons I use the products close to you. So
yeah, I mean, it's Pasolivo, Stepladder, Cowgirl. I mean, these are all fantastic products, great people too, as Chuck mentioned. So we want to make sure that we are supporting our neighbors, our family, our friends. So this is fantastic, and it's delicious, and you feel fancy. So it's a win-win across the board. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Someone was asking what the name of your store is, but you are kind of a moving target.
I'm more of a consultant and cheese educator than having an actual store. Cheese Sommelier is my company name, it's something I do and I like to do locally. If they can go and catch me at crkellner@yahoo.com if they have any questions or they want to continue asking questions about any of these products. One other quick one on this last one, another great combo is the Smoky spice and your sriracha sea salt.
Ooh, that would be fantastic for putting into this guy instead. A whole different ball game. So you could do two of them. Oh, I love that. Okay.
All right.
That's amazing. Yes. And somebody was saying this is a fantastic idea to do this. And yes, you can rewatch this. This is going to be on our Instagram. We will tag Chuck in there, so you'll see the Cheese Sommelier tag as well, and follow him, because then you'll get his information and you can bug him if you have questions about it. Also, it'll be on our Facebook. It's on our YouTube. So if you subscribe to our YouTube, you're going to get this and a whole bunch more. So yes, this is findable. This isn't just a fleeting moment in history. This will be solidified. So nobody pick their nose.
There you go.
So I am thrilled that we had you. Thank you so much for walking us through this. I feel like everybody's a little bit more prepped for the holidays with this. So cheers.
Cheers.
I'm going to head home and make myself one of those as well. I really appreciate your time, and thank you everybody for watching. I'm going to say goodbye to you folks so you can enjoy and probably answer that door, because you probably have a line out the door right now. And I'm going to talk about next week really quickly. So next week, thank you guys.
Thanks, Paso. Bye.
Thank you, studio audience. So next week, we are going to be working with Negranti Creamery. So we've talked about small batch. We're talking about Paso Strong. Negranti Creamery they make ice cream. They make fantastic ice cream. If you've been to Tin City, you've probably had a few beers or wines and then shuffled yourself over there and thought this is the best thing that could ever happen to my day right now is a Negranti ice cream sandwich. I may or may not have been there a few times, and it is amazing. So make sure that you guys stick with us next week. We are going to be making ice cream. I mean, yay! This is all our dreams come true, people. So we've got Negranti Creamery next week. I'm going to let you know what they have or what their bundle is going to be. Their bundle is going to be the kosher salt, the black lava sea salt. So I'm showing you guys the bags. They come in bags and jars, most of them. And so you can do the bags or the jars. That black lava sea salt is just gorgeous, and it works so beautifully. It is amazing how well it works on desserts because it's so big and crunchy. It gives a nice mouthfeel to it too. And then, of course, the sugar and spice blend. That is a blend: cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, cloves, ginger, a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of mace. So it really is an exciting blend. I've used it in my protein shakes. I've used it in my chai tea. I've used it in conjunction with that smoky spice for a nice Moroccan type dinner. So this sneaks up a few times. French toast, oatmeal. I mean, you'll use it a ton. So, and then the California extra virgin olive oil. So this is going to be in an ice cream, folks. It's so exciting. So join us next week, 2 o'clock, here, same place, same time, for Negranti Creamery and their ice cream deliciousness. We can't wait to have you guys back here again. It's always a pleasure. Have a fantastic weekend. Go make yourself one of those cheese pairings and an old fashioned, and take care of yourselves, please, during this silly, silly time. All right. Bye, guys.